Lake. It's 8 o'clock.
Good morning. This is Northern Light for Tuesday, October 24th. I'm Monica Sandreski.
And I'm Todd Moe.
The St. Lawrence Seaway is essentially shut down with Canadian workers on strike.
The strike means really a chokehold on commerce. So no vessels are able to transit at this point between Montreal and Lake Erie.
We hear about the potential impact on both Canadian and U.S. economies coming up.
Water quality is back up to par in Watertown after a major water main break last week that disrupted the city and surrounding towns. Also, our ongoing series on libraries continues with a visit to the Norwood Library.
And I get to know all the patrons. It's great when someone walks in the door and I've got their stuff already, plus a book they weren't expecting, plus something else I thought they'd enjoy. It's great.
And we'll preview a public reading tonight at SUNY Potsdam by alumnus and novelist T.C. Boyle. All of that's coming up on Northern Light. Stick with us.
Broadcast of Northern Light here on North Country Public Radio is supported by Long Run Wealth, an SEC-registered investment advisor in Lake Placid, providing comprehensive wealth management, retirement, and financial planning solutions. LongRunWealth.com. And Fisher, Bissett, Muldowney, and McCardle, attorneys and counselors at law with offices in Malone, Tupper Lake, and Saranac Lake. 800-941-5001.
This is Northern Light. I'm Monica Sandreski.
And I'm Todd Moe. Canadian workers on the St. Lawrence Seaway are on strike, essentially shutting down the shipping waterway along the St. Lawrence River. More than 100 ships are stuck waiting to get in. The Seaway is vital to both Canadian and U.S. economies. It contributes 30% of economic activity and jobs for both countries, much more in Canada than the U.S.
The strike comes at a crucial time when Midwest farms are exporting the grain harvest overseas. Catherine Wheeler spoke with Michael Folsom of the St. Lawrence Seaway Ship Watchers Network about the strike's potential economic impact.
The strike means really a chokehold on commerce. So no vessels are able to transit at this point between Montreal and Lake Erie. So that means no exports from the upper Great Lakes are able to reach overseas destinations. It means any end-of-year shipping from overseas that was coming to the Great Lakes, those ocean vessels aren't able to enter the Seaway to get those into Middle America. The term chokehold is what we're looking at. 15 locks between Montreal and Lake Erie are shut down, 2 of which the U.S. own and operate in Messina. The other 13 are where the workers from the Canadian side walked off the job.
Tell me a little bit about why these Canadian Seaway workers are on strike.
Yeah, the workers have been on the job since March 31st without a contract, working in good faith. They had come to the table 3 times over the last several months. And unfortunately, despite having a mediator, the 2 sides could not come to an agreement. And it seems wages are the big factor in all of this. There is some health and safety issues that have been brought to the table as well, but it primarily focuses around wages. And the Seaway likes to kind of relate this to the auto workers' demands. So either way, right now, money is what's holding us back.
How is the U.S. impacted in all of this?
Well, the St. Lawrence Seaway is really the forgotten stepchild when it comes to economies. We're talking 200 million tons of cargo every year being moved. So, this strike is going to impact, and the longer it lasts is going to have impacts on not only ships that were coming and bringing cargo to the United States, but all the cargo that was going to be exported, now you have backups, especially with grain elevators. There's only so much capacity. So now, as more grain comes into the ports, where does it go? This is the first actual strike since 1968. So 55 years ago, there was a walk-off. There had been threats since, but this is the first real shutdown. And back then, like the Port of Milwaukee, Port of Detroit, Cleveland, they all had substantial losses, daily losses in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, that now is equivalent to millions of dollars daily. So the impact is going to be long and deep, and it could mean layoffs. Those port workers, because there was no traffic or minimal traffic on the upper Great Lakes at that point, they started laying off dock workers. It's all the trickle-down effect, and at the end of the day, it could hurt you and me. I think the stakes in this situation is higher costs.
What are you hearing about negotiations between the St. Lawrence Seaway Management Corporation and Unifor, the union?
Negotiations, unfortunately, have legitimately stalled. They were at the table until just before midnight on Saturday. The union representative told me at midnight that they were done and walking away. So it sounds to me like it's going to take a lot of pushing and shoving to get both parties back in the same room. And some are asking government to get involved. There's just a lot of unknowns, it seems, at this point.
That's Michael Folsom speaking with Catherine Wheeler about the Seaway workers' strike in Canada.
Watertown says its water quality has been restored following a major water main break last week. The break disrupted life for the city and nearby towns. Schools and government offices temporarily closed, and Samaritan Health limited operations at its Watertown locations while the issue was fixed. The city officially lifted boil water and conserve water orders yesterday afternoon. A spokesperson says water quality was thoroughly tested, and the State Department of Health confirmed it meets all state and federal drinking water standards. Anyone who sees discolored or dirty water is advised to let their taps run until the water clears. If the issue continues, you can call the city's water distribution team at 315-785-7757.
The state's highest court has removed a judge in Washington County from office. Justice Robert J. Patorti was a Whitehall Town and Village Court judge. He pointed a loaded handgun at a black defendant during a court hearing in 2015. Patorti, who is white, has said he did so because the man approached the stand too quickly. The State Commission on Judicial Conduct said the man did not pose an imminent threat. It recommended Patorti's removal from office last year. The State Court of Appeals conducted its own independent review. It found Patorti bragged about the incident and exaggerated the size of the man. The court's decision says his description, quote, exploited a classic and common racist trope that black men are inherently threatening or dangerous, exhibiting bias, or at least implicit bias, end quote. The decision says Patorti's lack of remorse contributed to his removal. You can get more news all the time from the NCPR newsroom at our website, ncpr.org.
Listening to Northern Light here on North Country Public Radio. It's 9 minutes past 8. Good morning. I'm Todd Moe.
And I'm Monica Sandreski. Coming up, sometimes a library needs to be more than a place for books. We stop by the Norwood Library where reading, the arts, and creativity thrive. That conversation coming up in just a few minutes here on Northern Light.
Stony Creek guitarist Hank Soto. Check out more of his music on our website anytime. As part of the Underscore Project, you'll find it at ncpr.org/_. Northern Light is supported by Citizen Advocates, offering the North Country mental health, addiction, and housing services, plus crisis care, job training, and more. citizenadvocates.net/124. And Adirondack Foundation and the Adirondack Birth to 3 Alliance, dedicated to providing all children the best possible start in life. AdirondackBT3.org.
New York Governor Kathy Hochul's father died while she was touring wartime Israel last week. 87-year-old John Jack Courtney died suddenly from a brain hemorrhage. He was the son of Irish immigrants and a former tech executive in Buffalo. Hochul told Spectrum News host Errol Lewis Friday that both her parents were social activists in the 1960s. She said they often took in kids in need when she was growing up and gave back to their communities.
Even when we were getting our clothes from used clothing stores, they were doing clothing drives for other people. And that's the spirit of my father, very generous and really backing his kids. I always felt his love and support.
According to the Buffalo News, Jack Courtney is survived by 6 children, including Hochul, 20 grandchildren, and 6 siblings. A memorial service in Buffalo is being planned.
New Yorkers now have 2 ways to report hate and bias incidents. The state launched a telephone hotline and online form last week. The information goes directly to the State Division of Human Rights Hate and Bias Prevention Unit. New Yorkers are encouraged to reach out if they or someone they know experiences an incident involving hate or discrimination. The hotline number is 1-844-NO-TO-HATE. or 1-844-662-4283. And we have a link to the online form on our website at ncpr.org.
The leader of Vermont's biggest public broadcaster will step down at the end of this year. Scott Finn joined Vermont Public Radio as a president and CEO in 2018. His biggest achievement was seeing the station through its merger with Vermont PBS to create Vermont Public. He took the helm there in 2021. Finn said in a statement that Vermont Public is in a strong position 2 years in. He said, "It's the right time to find its next leader and, quote, for me to find a new adventure." Brendan Kinney is Vermont Public's Senior Vice President of Development. He'll serve as interim CEO when Finn steps down.
Volunteer first responders in Warren County can now get a break on their taxes. The County Board of Supervisors passed a law last week that makes firefighters and rescue squad workers eligible for a 10% exemption on their county property taxes. First responders with at least 2 years of experience for the community they live in are eligible. The exemption will apply to the assessed value of their primary residence while they're an active member. Other municipalities in the state have adopted the first responder deduction. You can contact your local real property or assessor's office to find out if you qualify.
Advocates who want to expand the state's decades-old bottle deposit law testified in Albany Monday. They say adding more categories of containers would reduce the use of plastics and ease burdens on municipal landfills. From Albany, Karen DeWitt reports.
New York's 1982 bottle law, which places a 5-cent deposit fee on containers for carbonated soft drinks and beer, was expanded in 2009 to also include plastic water bottles. But environmental advocates say New York's law could be broader and could include wine bottles, liquor bottles, and other plastic beverage containers.
My name is Erica Smitka, Deputy Director, League of Women Voters of New York State.
Smitka, speaking before the hearing, holds up 2 bottles to demonstrate.
So the one on my right hand is a soda bottle, essentially. And the one on my left hand is a juice bottle, like a Simply Orange or just a general bottle, iced tea, lemonade, anything you might find.
Okay. And what's the difference between them?
Well, there truly isn't much difference, right? They're both plastic bottles. They both have similar plastic tops. If you were looking at them as a layperson, they look identical, truly. The only difference is that one can be redeemed for 5 cents and the other cannot, and goes pretty much straight to the landfill.
Smitka says the change could encourage more people to actually redeem their bottles, increasing the chances that they'll be recycled and reused properly.
It could help increase New York State's redemption rate from 64% to 90%, which is a huge increase when we really only continue to create waste.
Blair Horner with the New York Public Interest Research Group says the deposit amount could be higher, too. He says that would incentivize people to not just throw the deposit bottles into the regular recycling or trash.
A nickel in 1983 is not what a nickel is in 2023. If you just CPI adjusted it, it should be 15 cents.
The advocates are asking Governor Kathy Hochul to include the proposal in her new budget plan due out in January. Hochul says she hasn't made any decision yet.
I understand the interest in it. We are still in the early stages of formulating our budget. We just had a meeting today to talk about what will go into our mid-year report. So on the financials, we're talking about that and how that would drive discussions on the financial side of our budget. But also there are many policy initiatives that we're still pressure testing during this time before it's required to be announced. So it's something we'll certainly look at.
Opponents include the liquor industry and grocery store chains. They say it would increase their expenses for handling deposit containers. They also say wine and liquor bottles don't contribute to waste and recycling problems the way that plastic bottles do. In Albany, I'm Karen DeWitt.
You're listening to Northern Light here on North Country Public Radio. I'm Todd Moe.
And I'm Monica Sandreski. Coming up in just a minute, we'll visit the Norwood Library and preview a public reading tonight at SUNY Potsdam with novelist T.C. Boyle. Then stick around after the show for Bird Note coming up at 8:42. First, Todd has a look at the weather for us.
Relatively mild temperatures around the region this week. Clouds, occasional showers today, highs around 60. Light winds out of the south. We could see highs near 70 on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Mostly cloudy skies tomorrow, and then some scattered showers possible again on Thursday and Friday. Light winds out of the south, southwest, and right now in Canton, clouds and 44 degrees.
As part of our ongoing series on libraries and librarians in the North Country, we stopped by the Norwood Public Library in St. Lawrence County. It's a relatively small but busy place where lifelong literacy is introduced to the very young and continues through digital literacy for seniors. Our Todd Moe has more.
Walk into the Norwood Library, and the first person to greet you will likely be library assistant Jenna Brown at the reference desk.
Oh, I just wanted to say my favorite part of working in a small library is that I get to do some of everything, from leading a program to playing with the guinea pigs. And I get to know all the patrons. It's great when someone walks in the door and I've got their stuff already, plus a book they weren't expecting, plus something else I thought they'd enjoy. It's great.
She is eager to help and a longtime lover of books and libraries.
Back in elementary school in the 70s, I was the only kid who was allowed to touch the microfilm machines, those film loop machines. I would help run the VCR and the TV and the projector and all of those good things. And the librarians would put aside every book on insects because they knew that was me. I've been a library rat since I can remember.
Yes, Jenna Brown is one of two library staff members who keep track of books, readers, and two resident guinea pigs.
I'm Amanda Jones, and I'm the library director of Norwood Public Library. So welcome to Norwood Public Library here.
Well, let's go see the guinea pigs, okay?
Yeah, we can start there. We can definitely start there.
Thanks, Jenna. With the motto of libraries are for everyone, Norwood's Library on the north edge of the village continues to expand services to the community.
So they like to hide, so they'll take a piece of food and they run away with it because they're sometimes, I think, afraid they're brothers. They're going to steal it from each other.
Boy, you like those oranges, though, huh?
Yeah, they're eating mandarin oranges right now. So.
Like many libraries in the North Country, it's fine-free, meaning no late fees for materials, which removes economic barriers. Renovations in the last several years have included an outdoor gazebo, landscaping, new furniture, and a solar energy system to conserve electricity. Amanda Jones says she became director 5 years ago after over a decade working at the Canton Free Library. She's been a lifelong library patron and understands small-town life. She grew up in St. Regis Falls and loved trips to the Weed Library in Malone as a child back in the 80s. It's what helps shape her vision for the Norwood Library, a place for all.
We have people that come here just to exist without having to purchase something. And in a way, we're a safe space that people can do that. We have teenagers that come here just to hang out. And we offer other resources other than books. So we offer a lot of books, of course, and our interlibrary loan system is very widespread. So if we don't have it on the shelf, we can probably get it from you from one of the other 65 libraries in the system or libraries throughout the state. But we also loan things like canning goods, and we loan things like board games is another collection. Some other libraries in our system will loan things like fishing rods with all kinds of different
gardening tools.
Yeah, gardening tools, things that you wouldn't, different types of collections. So I do see the whole wearing different hats type of thing. So we will go out and visit the schools, we'll go to the beach, and we'll provide stories and crafts there as well.
And here on the grounds of the library, you've got a pavilion out back where I know you've done some crafts and stories and games with youngsters.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We've had some neat programs there. One that we had was a butterfly specialist came to visit. So that was really cool. She brought her butterflies and everybody got to interact with them out there. We had a pirate party this summer, and that was a lot of fun. We decorated the gazebo with pirate. We had like a trunk full of loot, which were books that they donated for the kids to have and snacks and such. So I love books and I love reading. It's really as simple as that. I love working with the collection. I love helping patrons find their next favorite book. I love even reluctant readers. I do believe that there's a book out there that they will love. So,
do you actually have someone who might come and say, I'm looking for a new book, or I'm looking for a mystery, or
Yes, we often serve as readers' advisories, and someone will come in and say, what have you read that's good lately? That kind of thought that, I know I want to read something, but I don't know what I want to read. Or a parent will come in and say that their child really hates reading. But generally, there are some books that we can present that will maybe get them interested in reading, things that they maybe didn't think of to look at before.
Yeah.
We have graphic novels, which really seem to appeal to teens and older middle school kids, some younger middle school kids too.
Yeah.
And then we tend to be busy in October, and I think a lot of books are published in September and October, so there's a lot of great reads that come out during that time of year, and there's just that, back to school kind of feel where people want to pick up some new books.
Yeah. How might you respond to somebody who might say, well, why can't you just be a building with books and be a quiet space, and why does a library have to feel like it's everything for everyone, or kind of that community center? I want a space where I can just find quiet and read a book.
I do think there is, and I do think that there is value in having a quiet space, but I will agree that libraries are not as quiet as when I was a kid. I think that there is a value in serving everyone. If we can help somebody find a quiet space in our library, we're always willing to do so, or suggest sometimes when it's less busy. But we also want to promote different literacies, and children learn literacy skills through playing, through singing, and things that might not be as traditionally quiet as sitting down and reading a book, or by sitting on a family member's lap with the family member reading aloud. So there is value in a quiet space, but we are a public library and we are not a research library, so often there may not be, it's not quiet 100% of the time, that's for sure.
Amanda Jones is director of the Norwood Library. You'll find a link to the library's website and more library profiles on our website, ncpr.org.
He failed his saxophone audition at the Crane School of Music, but stayed at SUNY Potsdam, graduating in 1968 with a degree in English and history. He continued his education, eventually earning a PhD. T.C. Boyle is who we're talking about, and he's written 30 novels and collections of short stories. And his love for music continues despite the failed audition, and he co-hosted the Dean's List yesterday. And he told host Doyle Dean that it was here in Potsdam that he truly found himself.
This is Doyle Dean, host of the Dean's List, here with T.C. Boyle. Welcome, T.C. Boyle.
It's a pleasure to be here, and I love doing the music show.
Excellent. It was a lot of fun. Let me rewind. Why did you say yes in the first place?
I love public radio and I love music and I love to talk about it. I love to get turned on by it. And you turned me on to a lot of great tunes today.
Can you talk just briefly about your relationship with the North Country? You're a 1968 grad of SUNY Potsdam. You made the switch from music to literature here, right?
Yes. I learned everything that I know in terms of finding myself in a liberal arts school. I had three great mentors here, Vince Knapp in history, Krishna Vad and Kelsey Harder in English, and they turned me on and believed in me and gave me confidence, and they were great. And so when I did my teaching at USC, I wanted to be the same kind of mentor and turn people on. That's a great thing about undergraduate school. You don't know what you can do or what you are or who you are, and it just evolves.
Tell us a little bit about this performance at SUNY Potsdam.
I like to call it a performance rather than a reading, because reading has these dull academic connotations, but it is a reading. I like to read a piece in which, especially first-person narrative, I'm the guy, and this guy is kind of shocking, and he's going to tell you a story that will horrify you in the way that stories are supposed to, but it makes you glad also because you're getting an experience. It's like hearing a piece of music is how I hope it goes, and so far so good. So I look forward to turning the crowd on.
Well, I'm glad you're here with us, T.C. Boyle, and we look forward to hearing you speak tonight.
My pleasure.
Doyle Dean spoke with author T.C. Boyle after the two co-hosted the Dean's List yesterday. Boyle will read tonight at SUNY Potsdam's Black Box Theater at 7 o'clock with a book signing afterwards. For more information, go to ncpr.org/calendar. And you can listen back to the T.C. Boyle co-hosted edition of the Dean's List for the next week at ncpr.org/Dean's List. For right now, we're going to go out on a little bit of music from T.C. Boyle. He actually fronted the ska band The Ventilators back in the 80s, and this is their song, Lost for Sure.
What would I do when you never come back to stay? What would I do if you say goodbye? I could pretend not to cry. Go without you, life would be so boring. Go without you, can't go on no more. Go without you, can't find reason to live anymore. I would be lost for sure, yeah.
That's Lost for Sure by The Ventilators, the ska band fronted by T.C. Boyle, ahead of his reading tonight in Potsdam. That's it for the show for the day. Morning Edition continues. I'm Monica Sandreski.
And I'm Todd Moe. Be well.